Guys, you have heard me talk about them before, and I'm gonna keep talking about them again. Project Build Your Life Daily. It is our newest show sponsor, and their products are phenomenal. I am currently taking the Test Booster, the Fat Burner, as well as their pre-workout. And guys, I'm telling you, it is all natural, it is all clean, and it works. I get clean, clear, sustained energy in my workout without the crash at the end. It tapers off very nicely. I typically work out in the evening, so I'm taking the pre-workout at 6 o'clock, and come 8:30, 9 o'clock, I have no issues sleeping. These products are fantastic, the ingredients are clean, and the company's mission could not be more in line with our show. Project Build Your Life Daily. Like the Godfather and I always say, you're either one day in or one day out. Get yourself in with Project Build Your Life Daily. They are offering listeners of our show 25% off. That's huge. That's 25% off your total order with the code THETRUTH at checkout. So go in, buy some protein, buy some Test Booster, whatever it is that you need to help get you to the next phase of your health and well-being. Throw it in the shopping cart, go to checkout, use the code THETRUTH. 25% off your total order. Anything that they sell, supplements, protein, workout gear, t-shirts, whatever it is, 25% off, guys. You cannot beat that. And I'll tell you what, just a little thing from me to you, that Test Booster, all natural, but boy oh boy, is there a little extra lead in my pencil. I'm telling you what, guys. Project Build Your Life Daily. Check out their website. Check out their page on Instagram. It's Project BYLD. Again, use the code THETRUTH at checkout. Save yourself 25% off. Who's better than that? Boom.
The truth is inside of us, and it's wonderful when we have the courage to tell it.
And the truth shall set you free!
Welcome to 8192 The Truth with Brother Sin and the Godfather. Make sure you subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and TuneIn. New episodes drop every single week. Now here's your host, the Godfather, Joel D. Supernaw.
Welcome, everybody, to 8192 The Truth. My name is Lad Supernaw, and we are live at Portland, Oregon. It is my pleasure to introduce to you my dad, Joel, the Godfather of Supernaw.
Thanks, Lad. So, I always get Lad McDonald's, or I take him to breakfast, and the other day, after his workout, he ran a 6:37 mile, and he was pacing a 5:56 mile after the first lap. So I think Lad can do a 6:20 mile. His program ends September 3rd for this summer program. He's killed it. He's lowered his body fat. He's lost weight without trying. He's gotten more muscular. He's did everything great. But I think he just needs to get his pace right, and he's going to break that 6:30 mile, one of the goals for the summer. He's already all over all of his other goals. Well, anyway, man, I just decided that I'm going to make him scrambled eggs and bacon. And I called Miss H. She told me how to do it, and I pulled it off. And now he is, I'm all happy and jazzed up that a 52-year-old man can make scrambled eggs with cheese and bacon. So there you go. So Lad's kicking up some bacon. We had a great show last week. Tremendous feedback, tremendous amount of support. I've heard you guys through emails and tweeters and twitters and all that other stuff. So I'm gonna get you a little pod today. I want to talk about the Trumpy and the two sides of the world that we live in right now. I got to tell you. So the rumor is, Paul Manafort, he commits all these crimes. He commits a bunch of crimes. There are a bunch of white collar crimes, and he's probably going to get a pardon. He probably got over on the government. I mean, maybe $16-20 million. I mean, a bunch of money. He's probably going to get a pardon. And then we got Cohen, who he's come out and said he's been doing dirty business forever, whether it was on his own or with the president. And he's got busted. The feds came in and said, dude, we're going to put you away forever. The prez has distanced himself, so he's probably not looking at a pardon. So he comes out and gets his tattle on yesterday. Well, this gets the liberals up and going, man. They're going nuts over this. It's the same information we've had forever. I do not like the personality of the president of the United States. I think he's a bully. I think he's this. I think he's that. But he hadn't done anything illegal as far as I'm concerned. The hush money that he paid, man, everybody does that. If the prosecution, the federal prosecution, proves that he has taken money from other countries to line his pocket, he should already have that information by now. And if all we have is this BS campaign violation, man, you got to let this guy alone. You got to let this guy alone, liberals, and you've got to figure out, if you want to beat him so bad, you got to figure out who to run him against. I will tell you this. That is my opinion on something, and I went to federal prison on what amounts to a bad game of checkers compared to what these guys are doing. So it's very, very hypocritical for somebody like me. Or no, it's very hypocritical. Exactly. It's hypocritical for somebody like me to take it on the chin. Hey, I did those things. Go serve my time. Go do 5 years of probation where I did those things. I'm accepting it. Go do 5 years of probation. It was just hell on my life. And we've got elected officials just blowing off federal and state crimes like they're nothing because of who committed them. I'm on the side of the prez on this, but I'm also on the side of all the other little mini nothing criminals in the United States sitting in prison over nothing. Let them out, man. Let's clean this up. Let's clean this up right now. Let's get all of the weed heads out of prison. It's legal. Let's get all of the white collar criminals out of prison. We're giving the president a pass. Manafort's going to get a pardon. I hope he gets a pardon today. This has got nothing to do with strengthening the team. And the team is the United States of America. There's some things that aren't a bad idea. Immigration, keeping people out of this country, keeping criminals out of this country is not a bad idea. Now, it's a very, very bad idea, and it doesn't feel right when you take poor people that are trying to get to this country and have a better life and take them from their children. There's got to be a line somewhere that we can figure out how to do this. Man, this wall thing, if a wall will make our country stronger, build a wall. Let's stop this nonsense about the space army or some bullshit like this. Mexico's not paying for the wall. I'm all for securing the borders. I agree with that. I also agree that so far they got nothing on the prez other than ugly, seedy stuff that we all knew anyway, and we voted him into office. This feels to me, the longer it goes, unless Robert Mueller, and he seems to be just a great American patriot. From everything I read about the guy, he seems to be a great American patriot. So I don't think there's any controversy in this. But if the prez has not committed treason, man, let him do his thing. Just let him do his thing. I know your ratings probably won't go down because you got half of the country, my partner, Brother Sin included, that do not care that he committed crimes that other people like myself went to prison for. Okay? That should enrage me to no end. The reality is, I didn't fight the good fight. I tattled on myself. I didn't think I did anything wrong. I thought my crimes were very, very small in terms of what was going on. That's the same thing we're looking at here. We're saying, okay, the president's crimes with this campaign violation, and I'm sure he did it. very, very small in terms of talking about collusion with Russia. There's no difference. There's no difference. A crime's a crime. And if I'm going to be punished for it, and all the people in prison are going to be punished for little crimes that over half of the country do not care about because of who committed them, then at least be honest. At least be honest and say, all right, you know what, right? You're right, Joel. You've had a hell of a time with this thing. The only crime you ever committed in your life was this federal crime. We're going to go ahead and wipe it. We're going to wipe it so your son doesn't have to say, yeah, his dad went to prison, his dad's a felon. There's a lot of real people out there in this United States of America just like that don't get the break that the president's going to get, guaranteed. And I'm talking out of both sides of my face, but the same people, the exact same people, the Kevin Sneers of the United States, and this isn't bashing Brother Sin. I'm just saying the guy that is going to back him through everything, including crimes, are the same people that won't hire the same guy that just got out of the minimum security prison. So there's a lot there to digest, but I think we need to digest it. I think you need to look at that, because from my vantage point, I'm laughing at this stuff. I'm like, oh man, because you got to understand, the federal government made me look like I robbed banks all over this country. Oh, on one count, they changed the story 15 different times. One count of mortgage fraud, I was looking at maximum of 7 years in prison. Well, that's not true. They have sentencing guidelines, and it turns out that was 1 year minimum, 1 year and 1 day minimum, which means you got to go to prison for at least 6 months, and you got to do at least 4 months in a halfway house. So 1 year in prison in federal custody means at least 10 months in a day. That's what it means. I went through it. So when you're looking at some of these charges against some of these guys, and all they're looking at is 5 to 7 years, those aren't the biggest charges in the world. Yes, you can stack them on top of each other, but they're not the biggest charges in the world. There is something else coming down the pipeline, I believe. And if there isn't something coming down the pipeline, then people like Miss H that are banging their because they hate the guy. Get rid of him. Man, there's nothing there. So I believe Mueller's had enough time to show us, the American people, if our president is treasonous. And if he's not treasonous, and all he's done is the things that we knew he did anyway, which was cheat on his wife, cheat on his family, man, you got to let it go. You got to let it go and move on. All right, so there's the political statement from a guy that knows very little about politics, but quite a bit about the federal justice system. Now let's get on to mixed martial arts. We finally have a fight this weekend in Lincoln, Nebraska. We got Justin Gaethje against Michael Vick. Lad, do you know who's on the under other than Jake Ellenberger against Bryan Barberena?
Bryan Barberena.
Bryan Barberena. Do you know who else is on that card?
Michael Johnson is fighting Andre Fili.
Okay, Michael Johnson's fighting Andre Fili. All right, so there's 3 fights I'll talk about real quick. My buddy Jake Ellenberger, fan of the show, he's been on the show. Sometimes a killer learns how to fight, and it's the worst thing that can happen to him. It's the worst thing that can happen to a guy that is a killer. Jake Ellenberger is a killer. Problem is, he's learned how to fight. He spent all these rounds sparring. He's gotten better at jiu-jitsu. He's gotten better at all the things in practice that he will get better at. This is a great athlete, fast, strong, smart. He's all these things. And he's having trouble. He's 2-8, I believe, in his last 10 fights. He actually came out, and you never hear Jake complain. He actually came out and said, Ben Saunders isn't in my league. I can't believe that happened. I really, really like Jake. I really respect him as a human. I would like him to find the animal. And sometimes when something in this life becomes more important than you, man, it's hard to find that animal. I remember I remember fighting Josh Bennett, and I was handling him pretty well, and I got hit, and I got knocked out. Well, I didn't get knocked out, but I lost it for a second. So he hit me. By the time I hit the mat, I had my faculties, and I could have got out of that and pushed the envelope a little bit further. But the first thing I thought about was my kid. I was like, "Whoa, man! I'm doing this for fun. Let me go ahead and get out of here." You know, they I didn't tap, but they stopped the fight. In my heart of hearts, you think so fast inside the cage. In my heart of hearts, I know I could have tied him up and got back to my feet. But I was scared. I'd never been knocked out before. I never had a flash knockout before. And I immediately thought about my kid. Like, whoa, man, this is for fun for me. Well, even though it's not for fun, and Jake's a professional athlete, Jake has 2 kids. Jake has a beautiful wife. Jake has a family now. It is different. It is different. You hear about guys like Darren Till talking about, hey, man, I need to be selfish. You know, I got a kid in Brazil. I got a girlfriend. I don't take care of this, that, and the other. You know, there's what he's trying to say is to be the best fighter in the world, I need to be really, really selfish. And there is a lot of truth to that. I know that Chael's in a camp right now, and this fight interests me. He's fighting Fedor. He's fighting the Russian. As wrestlers my age and a little bit older, man, the only thing we ever think about coming up is beating a Russian in the gold medal match at the Olympics. That's all we ever think about. And, well, we have that chance. Now, it's not a wrestling match, but it is in a world championship caliber tournament, and it's the Russian he's been throwing shade on for 10 years. That Russian's going to come and try to do harm to us. And I talk to Chael every day, and one of the things I try to beat into his head, and I try to beat this into any fighter that I can give advice to, is during training camp, you have to be the most selfish person on the planet. Does that mean you're a jerk? Does that mean you don't love your kids? No. Does that mean you're mean to your wife and you're mean to your friends? No. But you need to get inside a tunnel, and you need to know it's you against the world. And I hope Jake can do that this weekend and get a win. If he cannot do it, I mean, he needs to step away from the sport, because he is, in fact, it's not that he's still not a top caliber fighter. It's because he cannot separate those two things. He does not want to be a selfish animal for 8 weeks. And that's the truth. So I'm rooting for Jake. I hope he can find the killer within. We have Justin Gaethje against, man, I keep forgetting Vic's name. We got Justin Gaethje against Vic. I keep thinking Michael Vick. His name's not Michael Vick. Anyway, so Justin Gaethje has brought his college wrestling coach into the mix. And he's also come out and said, no, man, I'm gonna stand in the middle of the ring like I always do, and he's gonna have to go through hell. I've brought my coach in to get me in better condition wrestling-wise. I haven't been wrestling a lot because it's so hard. I love Justin Gaethje because he really, really does tell the truth. The one reason, and I've said this for years, it blows my mind that jiu-jitsu is more, I mean, are you kidding me? Go watch a jiu-jitsu match as opposed to a high-level or high school wrestling match. As boring as wrestling is, unless you're a wrestler, or unless it's on the big stage, or unless the guys are in a Donnybrook. As boring as it is, it's never going to be as boring as grappling. Now, there's more people that grapple because they didn't have to wrestle. That's just the truth. These fighters spend more time, wrestlers, high-level wrestlers, Chael Sonnen, high-level wrestlers, they spend more time hitting mitts than they do wrestling. It makes no sense in the history of the world. So Justin Gaethje says, man, I'm 1-2. Somewhere inside his head, he wants to win, and he wants to quit saying, I'm here to entertain people. The fans do not care, people. They don't care. Once you're out of the shine, you're out of the shine. I was on Chael's podcast for a year and a half or whatever it was. Man, I'd get 30, 50 messages 3 different times a week, usually when the show went on. And I respond to all of them. Oh, these guys love me, this, that, the other. I'm nobody. And man, I get off that show, I start my own show, and the fans, and I appreciate them. They're more than cut in half. Way more than cut in half. Fans do not care about me. They do not care about these fighters. They only care about their entertainment and what they can talk to their friends about. That's it. That's all anybody ever cares about is me, 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 me. So when these fighters say things like, Eddie Alvarez comes out after his last fight, he loses, and he says, I wasn't here to win, even though he won a world championship. I was here to entertain people. Did I entertain you? Thinking the UFC would be like, hey, man, thank you for those wars you just fought. But no, we're not going to sign you for more money than you can get because, we're a bunch of gangsters. And that's and Eddie should have never had that. He should have never had that in his head, that we're here for the entertainment. And guys should not get that stuck in their head because we tell them how awesome it is to see them go out there and fight like warriors. Yeah, man, we love it. But we don't need to see Justin Gaethje go out and stand in the middle of the ring and throw punches and kicks until he is knocked out. Yeah, it's great to see. It's fun to watch. This is an all-American wrestler. He can shoot a double. He can take Vic down. He can do other things. Vic is a very well-rounded fighter. Who do I think is going to win this fight? I'm leaning towards Vic for the simple reason that Gaethje has been through 1, 2, 3 out-and-out wars in what? A year and a half? That's crazy. And what's the UFC going to do for Justin Gaethje after his career's over? Are they going to do something? They need to. These fighters need to get compensated after the fact. This is a major. When Dana White comes out and says our company's worth $7 billion, man, the guys that helped build this company need to be taken care of. They really, really do. Chris Lieben shouldn't have to fight in the UFC. I've said that number for me has been 20. You fought in the UFC 20 times. You deserve something forever. We have Darren Elkins on the show this weekend, and I, like a lot of people, just caught on to Darren Elkins the last year and a half. Man, he's been in the UFC for 8 years. His next fight's his 20th UFC fight. This is a guy that shouldn't lay it on the line to be able to live a decent life, maybe a little bit better than a decent life while he's fighting, and then go coach at a gym. That's just not right. These guys do deserve more things, and we've been spoon-fed through the UFC promoting, fight to the death. We've seen it, we expect it, we watch it, and then when we don't get it, we're mad. These guys spend a lot of time doing a lot of different things, but the end result should be victory. Justin Gaethje, his entire mindset shouldn't be about the entertainment value and picking up a fight of the night bonus. Man, when you fight like that, you should get an extra rub anyway. You just should, because there's money out there to be distributed. If the money wasn't out there to be distributed, then you got nothing to go on. I hope someday that these fighters just quit fighting and get together and say, hey man, we deserve a cut. I don't know how unions work. I don't know how a lot of things work, but I do know that the fighters could change these things, but they have to do something else. They have to show up and fight. They have to quit pulling out of fights. It's hard to feel sorry for a labor base that won't go to work. So there's a lot there. There's a lot there to deal with. Michael Johnson, he's fighting this weekend against Feely. He's been in a ton of wars. Well, man, he ran up against it at 55. He comes down to 45. He's winning the match at 45 and gets choked out. So now he's up against it, man. He's fighting for his ability to continue to work for the UFC. The other companies may treat you better, but us fans look at 3 letters, UFC. They did a good job, and he's fighting for his life. So I wish him luck. I wish these guys would quit worrying so much about my entertainment value and go out and get a W. I can guarantee you, the only thing I care about with Chael is he takes the Russian down and stays in control and stays on top of him and wins that fight and goes on to the next round. In wrestling, nobody ever said, hey, get up by 15 points and then do something crazy and get pinned, and we'll think that you entertained us. No, man, you got pinned. You got pinned, you suck. All right, losing's losing, guys. Quit accepting it for the entertainment of everybody else. Just stop. Did you guys with the means to double or triple your money get caught looking away? Khabib versus Conor. Could have bought front row tickets for $2,500. Those tickets are now going for up to $15,000 to $35,000. You gamblers out there that had $5,000 when those tickets went on sale, and you didn't buy 2 of them, even though you weren't going to go to the fight. You lost. Does that mean you're going to get $35,000 for them? No, but they're going to be $10,000 a floor seat. I mean, you've got tons of interest in this fight. We have rumors. Man, I love Big Ferg. I love Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson is trying to spin a web that he's fighting GSP on this show. Man, I would love to see that happen. I don't see GSP doing that. I think if GSP wants to fight the winner of that fight, he would go do that. I would love to see it. I would love to see Tony make weight in case Khabib doesn't, just because he's a gangster. We have Usman doing that in the Woodley-Till fight. He's going on to make weight in case Till misses weight, and he says, listen, this guy's too big. There's a good chance he's going to miss weight. Is that something we're going to see more of? To skirt the weight cutting issue, to get around the problem, which is the weight cutting issue. Are we going to see backups? Are we going to pay backup fighters to make weight so we can have a solid main event, so we don't have to have a situation where Khabib fights Al Iaquinta for the championship, but the championship is only for Khabib? I mean, you can't sell us that all the time. You can't. Boy, if I would have went out there, you spend that money. And for a lot of us, man, that trip really sets us back. It's a big highlight of the year for us. We got to work really, really hard for us. When the UFC doesn't deliver, man, that hurts. So we're going to see more of this. And is the backup going to make weight? Are we guaranteed the backup's going to make weight? We're trying to put a Band-Aid on the weight cutting system, the weight cutting issues. There's a lot of things that Dana White's hard-headed on. We were never going to see women fight in the UFC. Look how popular they are. 125-pound world champion, being the best fighter in the world. Demetrius Johnson. When I started getting involved in fighting in 2000, the best little guy around here was a guy named Greg Piper. Nobody knows who he is. He was a little guy. He was a 125-pounder. He had to fight 55, 70. He had to fight whatever weight he could get a fight. He didn't weigh 135 pounds soaking wet. So sometimes we've got to let go of our belief systems when they're only keeping people away from opportunities. These guys, they were always going to have a problem cutting weight because people are always going to try to game the system. Anyway, we lost. You guys that had a chance to make some money on the Khabib versus Conor tickets, not the fight itself. That'll get going in its own. You know that fight's going to sell a crazy amount just for the lack of publicity there is. What do they do with Till? What do they do with Till versus Woodley? Do they not even promote it? Do they promote the Conor Khabib fight? Something to think about. Brock Lesnar dropped the strap against Roman Reigns in the WWE. All signs lead to him coming back to fight Daniel Cormier. He looked a little softer than he had in the past. Is that me seeing something that's not there? Maybe. The guy's 40 years old. Do we all believe Brock's been on the sauce forever? Yes, in some manner. Do we all want to see Lesnar fight DC? Yes, including DC. We have Ronda. Ronda becomes the WWE World Champion. I'm a fan of I'm a fan of professional wrestling because I've been watching it my whole life. But the products, for me, the product's been so bad for so long. Ronda comes in and has this amazing match with that big girl Nia Jax last time, and then she loses somehow. And I'm like, okay, cool, they're going to build this. She comes out this time and she just beats the snot out of this Alexa Bliss gal. It's a squash. It's what's considered a squash match. Man, I don't know why you do that to one of your biggest stars in Alexa Bliss. I have no idea. Why would you do that? I mean, talk about cutting your nose off to spite your face. You could have done a bunch of different things. Waited a little while to put that belt on Ronda. You're building this women's division up in the WWE where they're going to have their own pay-per-view. I guess it makes sense in dollar amount to have your biggest star that you rented for, a year and a half or whatever, put the championship on her and get some big numbers. But by tearing down what you've already built, this is Alexa Bliss has become a star, and you do a squash match for her. It doesn't make a lot of sense. So I wanted to get out here. I wanted to talk about the Trumpy. It's been a quiet time about these fighting. My Cubbies just set a record, and they brought it one game further. They're the first team ever in the history of baseball that scored one run in 4 games in a row, and those 1 runs were solo home runs. Well, they did it again yesterday. So they're the first team to ever do it 4 times, and they're the first team to ever do it 5 times. Our arch enemy, Daniel Murphy, has been traded from the Washington Nationals. He's going to be lined up tonight in a Cub jersey. And I've hated this guy. I mean, not personally, but professionally, because he's been a Cub killer for years. I'm going to be rooting for him. That's going to be weird. Anyway, guys, have a great day. Peace.
You've been listening to 8192 The Truth with The Godfather. Subscribe to the show on Apple Podcast and follow the show on Facebook at facebook.com/8192 The Truth.